Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
Google has submitted an application to the EPA for an experimental use permit that would allow them to release 64 million mosquitoes in Florida and California over a 2-year period. Why, you ask? They're developing a new product, a subscription service, if you will, called Debug. It starts in a lab where they breed Wolbachia-infected mosquitoes, basically making it difficult for infected males to produce offspring. Then they use an AI sorting machine to separate males from females. They're distributed through a robot mechanism equipped on the Debug van. The van uses GPS and local population data to release them where they're most likely to mate with uninfected females. But no Google product is complete without the surveillance factor. They also have smart traps to monitor how many females versus lab-released males there are in the area. It's essentially mosquito control as a service. I'm honestly not educated enough to determine if this is a net negative or positive. I'm not a big mosquito fan, but I tend to err on the side of skepticism when it comes to biological intervention. Anyway, if you go to regulations.gov and search for this docket, you'll be able to read more and tell the EPA what you think with a comment. They're supposed to take public opinion into consideration before deciding to approve or deny the permit.
Supposed to? Yeah, I'm sure that actually happens. Now, I haven't done a lot of digging into this, so I don't know, and let's be honest, I'm no scientist. I don't know the intricate ins and outs of how exactly something like this is going to function. What I do know is that they are actively trying to find ways to depopulate. I also know that they're doing everything they can to decrease our birth rates, even going so far as attempting to socially condition the entire population into believing that there's nothing wrong with just deciding midway through a pregnancy that you don't want it anymore. So I can't help but to be a little suspicious when they tell us that they've got millions of mosquitoes that have been either infected with something to keep them from being able to reproduce, or they've been genetically altered in such a way that can keep them from reproducing. And then when they try to mate, they're going to spread that to the female of the species, whose offspring are probably going to produce similarly altered mosquitoes, or it will just simply stop that mosquito's pregnancy from coming to term. They know that we can't protect ourselves against mosquitoes. If we want to go outside, we are going to come into contact with them. I can't help but to wonder if maybe the actual intent here is to spread whatever this genetic mutation is to humans. I mean, honestly, with as little as you can trust the scientific community, this may genuinely have nothing at all to do with mosquitoes. It is not outside the realm of possibility that is just simply a narrative. And they shouldn't be messing with this stuff anyway. Let's just say for a second that these scientists are 100% on the up and up. There's no shady business going on here. They're telling us the exact truth. They're not trying to deceive or hide anything. If they found a way to genetically alter a mosquito that would keep it from being able to reproduce, just because they figured that out and just because they know that they've been testing different variations of whatever this concoction is that they're giving the mosquitoes, and out of all the variations they've tested, they know that this one specific variation of it is the most effective. What if that's not the only thing it's doing? What if that's the one that's the most effective at stopping reproduction, but it's also got some crazy side effect that's not going to show up for several years? Some side effect that doesn't even impact mosquitoes, but only the people who are bitten by them. We have no way of knowing. And we're not going to find out until years down the road when some poor unfortunate soul who's been bitten by one of these things experiences some crazy side effect from it that completely ruins the rest of their life. It's insane to me just how often we see these harebrained scientific attempts at altering our environment, but you almost never hear of anyone talking about the actual ethics of anything that science is doing anymore. You never hear anyone talking anymore about whether or not some of these scientific studies that they're doing are actually ethical. But I guess that kind of makes sense considering most people can't even agree on what's right and wrong anymore.
This is the album cover of Breakfast in America by the band SuperTramp. From 1979, in reversed, it sure looks like it says 9/11 over the Twin Towers. But there's even more to it than that. In this image of the album cover, all of Manhattan is either salt shakers, pepper shakers, coffee cups, even an egg carton, except the Twin Towers. Those are the buildings. So that's a bit weird. Then if you take a closer look, the view is from an airplane. Yeah, an airplane. Plus, the name of the album is Breakfast in America, and when the first plane hit one of the towers, it was just after 9 a.m. in the morning. Kind of breakfast time. And once again, when the image is reversed, it sure looks like it says 9/11 right over the Twin Towers, which are the only buildings on the image. Maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe it's not. But it sure is strange, Fushkis. Shabadoo!
I don't think that this was them trying to give us a heads up that we were going to have this attack on American soil. I think this is likely an actual example of an extreme coincidence. I also don't think those twin towers in that image are the only buildings that look like regular buildings. It looks to me like these are all things you would find on the breakfast table in the morning, and those buildings are probably made out of sugar cubes or something. However, there was another little coincidence that I noticed that he didn't really pick up on. Anyone else find it funny that that lady is holding a glass of juice right in front of the buildings? If you know, you know.
Now, who's ready for this conversation? I mean, his island was used as one of their attractions on their cruise line, sending families there to snorkel. Are we that surprised, though? I mean, they are the kings of subjecting children to subliminal messaging, not to mention the 666 in the name. Yeah, I know I'm reaching. But they do stuff like this. Can you see it? Oh, there it is, and people are still gonna say I'm reaching. How about this scene from The Lion King? Did you catch what the dust spelled out? You can say I'm reaching, but Disney actually spoke on this and said it says SFX because it's an Easter egg about the film special effects department. Okay, but how about this scene from The Lion King? Obviously I slowed it down, but she's catching passion fruit. Up? Where did that third one go? You can say I'm making this up, but Disney literally had to recall 3.4 million copies of this movie, The Rescuers, because they put a naked lady in a window in this scene. I'm obviously blocking it because if I show you, this post would get taken down. Like I said, I can't really show you, but you can go ahead and look it up for yourself. Here's a scene from The Little Mermaid. Look, you can see right there. You see it? What is that? Or how about in Lilo and Stitch where they show Lilo taking pictures of people's butts and bodies? Like, what is that about? Or when they make stuff like this. Very intentional, by the way. Or even this. So when the child sits there, it looks like Donald is doing what? That's why when it comes to children, Epstein is literally the tip of the iceberg because it goes way deeper than him.
Yeah, I think it's time we start making Disney actually answer for some of this stuff. For decades now, we've been letting them get by with this excuse of every time someone notices that they've put something extremely inappropriate into a children's film or TV show, they always just tell us the same thing. We're sorry, that was a disgruntled employee. He heard through the grapevine he was going to be fired, and before he finished his last day of work, he snuck this into the project. Literally, every time something like this is spotted, when I look it up, that's Disney's excuse for it. That can't be the actual cause for every single situation. And as often as this stuff seems to be happening, why do they not just hire a team of people to look over everything they produce and double check for this type of stuff? It wouldn't be that difficult, and there are some people out there who are really, really good at picking up on stuff like this. But it's obvious that this stuff isn't happening by accident. It's just too frequent. I think they put this stuff in there hoping that none of the parents notice, but that the kids can still pick up on it subliminally. And I think the only point of it is to make kids start thinking about inappropriate things at an earlier age. I think they're trying to destroy the innocence of our younger generations, so just in the off chance that at some point in the future they find themselves in an opportunistic situation, they can take advantage of that child.
So see that one? That's a security cam. That right there is a flock cam.
Fully support the use of flock cameras. I think it'll not reduce crime.
The flock cam is AI, photographing and remembering. It will take pictures and videos of your vehicle, right? And it'll log you at this time, at this place, blah, 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 blah. The flock cam goes to a private company. I think it's 90,000 nationwide and 9,000 a DFW. Those little guys watch you and tag you everywhere you go. So it just tagged me now. And even though I don't have a license plate, it's still going to put me down in memory in this spot. So now when I go over to the next cameras, which we're going to go a little ways in, those cameras will ping me a as well. And then this private company is going to know I was here and went to there and was pointing at their cameras. Flock safety, 24/7 recording. So see, they're getting you when you come in, they're getting you when you leave. Also, the website that we're using just to look up the cameras, the owner of these cameras, the dude that owns the company, he tried to say that it was terrorism. That us knowing where these cameras are on a website is terrorism.
And then unfortunately there's terroristic organizations like DFlock, whose primary motivation is chaos. They are closer to Antifa than they are anything else.
On what planet is us knowing where these companies' cameras are that are logging our everyday lives?
This CEO may be the most dangerous hypocrite in America. He runs Flock, an AI mass surveillance company that
offers AI that can help cops locate cars and people, built on a network of over 80,000 cameras spread across 49 states in the US, as well as a new tool called Nova that brings together masses of police surveillance data into one app.
Because Flock is creating an AI surveillance state, an organization called DFlock started to track the Flock cameras that are tracking us. But look how annoyed the Flock CEO is about people tracking his cameras.
Citizens concerned about the rise of Flock and Flock cameras going up everywhere and increased surveillance everywhere.
Yeah.
There's an organisation called DFlock. What do you think of that organisation and the way they go about their business?
Unfortunately there's terroristic organizations like DFlock, whose primary motivation is chaos. Flock is the best way to create a safe community.
I'm not sure DFlock would agree with the terroristic label.
The Flock CEO constantly claims their cameras have never been hacked, and this claim is plastered all over Flock's website. But YouTuber Ben Jordan did an incredible investigative report where he found extremely disturbing things about these Flock cameras.
A few weeks ago, using a commercial search engine, I very easily found the administration interfaces for dozens of Flock safety cameras. None of the data or video footage was encrypted. There was no username or password required. These were all completely public-facing for the world to see, and some of them still are. You don't have to be an expert to find and gain access to this. You don't even have to type anything in to see every single person, vehicle, and activity that took place in these locations in the last 31 days. Whether you wanted to watch this footage live in real time or look at footage from a month ago, you could just point and click your way to it like you were watching Netflix. I could watch a man rollerblade and then take a break to watch rollerblading videos on his phone. How? Because the camera's AI automatically zoomed in on it. Just like it zoomed in on a couple arguing at a street market in Atlanta. So what? They're still anonymous, right? No, they're not. Within 2 minutes of open source intelligence using a commercial facial recognition engine, I found out that one of them just finished medical school and the other is dealing with chronic irritable bowel syndrome. The couple also just had a baby last year and they have a pretty concerning debt-to-income ratio. I also know that they drove over 45 minutes from their address in the suburbs to attend church in Atlanta that morning, and then they checked out this market and bought a sweater. Just saying these words out loud nauseates me. But I'm trying to show you just a fraction of the information that anyone in the world with access to a commercial search engine has had regarding anyone who attended this market or walked on this trail in the last 31 days.
So if anyone's a terrorist here, maybe it's the CEO creating the dangerous AI surveillance state.
And now think about how they're trying to incorporate this Flock system into all of our Ring doorbells, all of these smart home devices. I don't think we've got that much longer left before someone accidentally discovers that some device inside their home with a camera on it is connected to Flock and the entire world can access it. Here's what concerns me the most about this. They could clearly care less about keeping all of our data safe so long as they have it in their greedy little hands. Now, we're constantly seeing reports from different tech companies that are quietly behind the scenes signing up to incorporate this Flock system into whatever technology it is that they produce. Basically, if things keep going in the direction they're currently going in, within the next 3 or 4 years, basically every device with a built-in camera is probably going to be connected to this Flock system, which means every device inside your home that has a camera on it is also going to be connected to this Flock system. And since all they care about is data collection, not data security, this means we are potentially right around the corner from literally anyone being able to access video footage of you inside your home at any time they want. I really think the only way out of this is for us to just do away with all this technology. There's just no way that this is going to play out in a way that's beneficial to any of us.
American CEOs who visit China are coming back terrified. What they're seeing is so dramatically advanced and so ahead of the curve of what is happening in our country that they're not sure how to respond. These executives are realizing that AI and robotics are so dramatically outpacing the United States that it could leave the Western world behind. With one CEO saying, "There are no people. Everything is robotic." This is showing up most prevalently and most notably in Chinese electric vehicles, which are so outpaced and so advanced and so much more affordable that they actually cannot even be sold in the United States of America. It's essentially prohibited. Here's a direct quote of how advanced it is. "I can take you to big factories in China now where you'll basically be alongside a big conveyor belt and the machines come out of the floor and they begin to assemble parts. And you're walking around this conveyor and after about 800, 900 meters, a truck drives out. There are no people. Everything is robotic." And what seems to really have scared these executives is that they visited these massive factories that are so advanced and so capable, they don't even have to have lights. The factories were completely dark, the machines working in the dark because obviously they don't need to have the lighting or the added energy expended for the lighting of the factory. The process was so automated, there were no workers on the manufacturing side, just a small number of people to make sure the robots were working. To give you an idea of how much China is outpacing the rest of the world, last year they added 295,000 manufacturing robots. 27,000 were added in Germany and 35,000 added in the United States. They have outpaced the entire planet 3 times over. And believe it or not, a big part of this was actually due to Apple. Apple's production of the iPhone was so complex, so advanced, and required to scale so quickly that it built massive resources in China, including educating and upscaling workforces and factories. But what essentially happened was Apple recognized that they had to sort of let those people go build other things, because if you make an iPhone 5 part and you stop making the iPhone 5, you have to do something else. So Apple upskilled the entire workforce of China, essentially, or a significant part of it, and then they utilized that advancement in technology as one of many factors, including a strong national program, to be just this. And now American executives who are visiting China are just quite frankly coming back terrified of what they're seeing. When it comes to American workers being outpaced by massive advancements in technology, it seems a lot like what we just saw in those factories. It's lights out.
I am certainly not wanting to contribute to the fear-mongering that goes on around a lot of these topics. I certainly have hope for the future, and I'm completely convinced that when all is said and done, things are going to work out the way they're supposed to. These evil people can plan whatever they want to plan, but ultimately God is in control. But if you're one of the people who think that there's a pretty good chance that all of this stuff is going to come to a screeching halt, that all of these elites and world leaders are going to realize that they're making a huge mistake with this AI and we're going to go back to the way that things were before. If you think there's even the slightest possibility that something like that could occur, I think that you have your hopes up too high. You look at something like this tells us the writing is on the wall. Outside of some major catastrophe that completely knocks us back to the Stone Age, I don't think there's anything that we can do to stop this. I think all we can do is slow it down. Because whether we'd like to admit it or not, the people who are in charge of the way that things function in this world are the people with money. And unfortunately, no matter how much money these people have, it is never enough. So it's not realistic to think that there's even the slightest possibility that we revert back to our old way of doing things. These people have literally figured out a way to create a product that no one except for them makes any money during the manufacturing of, because there are no human employees that are actually assisting in the production of this product. So that leaves the owner with a product to sell to a public who doesn't have any money, because all of the products that they could be making money from producing are being produced the same way that this guy's producing his product. So the old method was you hire people to create a product, you sell that product back to the public, and you get a portion of some of your invested money back. And the people that you paid to build the product, they have money, so now they can go buy your product or someone else's. But with the way this new system is set up, it's 100% profit. You have your initial investment to purchase the equipment that you need to manufacture the product, But after you sell enough product to recoup your initial investment, it is 100% clean profit from there to eternity. No one's going to willingly go back to paying somebody to work 40 hours a week. I bet if we were to look ahead 10 years, I'm betting that employment will be a thing of the past. That the idea of going and spending 8, 10, 12 hours a day working for someone so that they'll give you money at the end of the week and you can use that to survive off of, I don't even think that idea will be commonplace in 10 years. I think that's how drastic things are about to change. What do y'all think, though? Do you think my timeline's a bit aggressive, or do you think that it's actually going to hit us faster than that?
Obviamente no me voy a levantar a ver qué es, pero tengo miedo. Tengo miedo. Si pasa...
Imaginación, no miré mal, pero salí corriendo de ahí porque ya no puedo, ya no sé qué hacer. Son las 4 de la mañana, pero sé que había algo ahí, sé que miré algo y no estoy loca. No estoy loca. Tengo que entrar a trabajar al rato y no he dormido nada. Estoy nerviosa, no sé qué.
I added this because it's very rare that I come across a regular haunting video that I think may actually be legitimate. And I took this out of a much longer clip that was over 7 minutes long, and I cut out all the storyline stuff and just put the clip showing the actual footage that this woman uploaded. But according to what this lady is telling everyone with the footage that she's uploaded, is she has actually moved into this new apartment. She lives on her own. She doesn't have any pets. She has this security camera because she lives on her own and wasn't expecting to pick up anything, but basically wanted it in case someone broke in and she needed to give evidence to the police. And from what I've read, this lady is essentially experiencing something she can't understand, posts a video about it, spends several days talking to people in the comments, them trying to calm her down, and then essentially right when she reaches the point that she's rationalized everything away and decided that it's her making a big deal out of nothing and that there's actually nothing paranormal taking place, usually around that time she'll experience something else. But that last clip there at the end where she's in her room and she's filming that door, apparently from what she's telling everyone, she got so scared she threw that door open and ran out of the apartment. If that's true, if all of this video footage she's uploading is legitimate footage that she is not doctoring in any way, I think that's pretty good evidence that it wasn't an actual human being in her apartment. So just the fact that we saw a physical object under her bedroom door, and then she opened that door and ran out of the apartment without being abducted, I just think if that had been a man in her apartment and we were seeing someone's shoe under her bedroom door, the moment she opened that door, we'll just say we wouldn't know about this. The footage would have never made it to the internet. Things would have probably played out very differently.
Hey, what's up, America? This is very disturbing, and you need to know this. So 7 top tech companies have agreed to work with the Pentagon on secret data. Now, these companies I'm about to mention have agreed to work with the Pentagon to cover surveillance in the United States and autonomous weapons of war. Yes, that's correct. Drones and other equipment that are autonomous that will be used to, as well as that surveillance state you always thought was coming. Here it is. What they're working on is considered highly classified, but like I said, we do know it's for weapon systems and also surveillance of the American people. The 7 tech companies that have agreed to work with the United States government to surveil the people and make autonomous weapons are OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, SpaceX with Elon Musk, Google, they're going to be helping with surveillance, Microsoft, they're going to be watching your every move and sending that to databases apparently, NVIDIA, yes, NVIDIA, Amazon Web Services will also be helping the Pentagon create databases on people from what I understand, and a company called Reflection AI. Also, Anthropic will be joining, and don't forget Palantir, which already made agreements quite some time ago. The story says, quote, the United States Department of Defense, or Department of War, however you classify it, announced agreements with these companies to deploy their advanced AI capabilities on classified networks. And this involves secret and top secret environments you'll never know. This allows for broader military and government use on data synthesis, situational awareness, and decision making in operations. That's the military side. My bad, apparently Anthropic is not involved, favoring these other companies because of a dispute with Anthropic. But they may join later. Sorry, I didn't mean to f you over there. So here's the worst part. These selected companies have agreed to terms enabling, quote, any lawful operational use by the Pentagon on American mass surveillance or weapon systems and technology. And since you know what flock cameras are doing, you know what Palantir is doing, this right here is the very beginning of a constant surveillance state. Welcome to literal hell.
I just figured I would throw this one in here to give everyone a little heads up. We are now one step closer to bringing 1984 into fruition. It's crazy to think about that we're so close to them pulling this off. We're starting to see the building blocks, the framework of how this system is going to function being put into place. So it looks like there's not going to be one centralized system, but a bunch of smaller systems all working in conjunction with one another. and then maybe there's a head system that they all report back to that's kind of in control of all of them individually. But this makes me wonder about something. When you watch all these movies, like where the plot of the movie is that AI is taking over the world. We'll use that Netflix movie from a few years ago as an example, The Mitchells versus the Machines. The plot of that movie is essentially AI is taking over the world, and this one random family that's on a road trip to take their oldest daughter to college just happens to be the ones that save the world. But the way that they save the world is like in every other AI movie, even that new Mission Impossible movie that came out not too long ago. You go straight for the source of whatever is controlling that AI. Once you kill the AI that's in control of everything, everything's no longer being controlled because the AI no longer exists. But what I'm curious about is how well that idea would actually work if that was the method you were trying to use to course correct after AI had taken over everything. I think we've reached the point now that it would kind of be a waste of time to pour a lot of effort into trying to stop this from coming to fruition. I think the most productive thing to focus on now would be, how do we shut this thing down once it launches? How do we cut the head off the beast? Because it makes sense to me that if they're going to have all these different systems compartmentalized, like Amazon's running this part, Google's running this part, X is running this part, there has to be some form of an open line of communication between all of these systems. Maybe we can stop it by severing that connection, or maybe we can completely shut one of these down by not allowing it to communicate with these other systems. Maybe they'll be dependent on each other to function properly. I'm just saying, now that we're starting to see how they're putting this together, maybe this is a good time to start paying attention to how this system is built, so we'll have a better understanding of how to dismantle it. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. God willing, I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like, and don't forget to drop a comment down below to increase the odds of my future uploads showing up in your YouTube feed. But guys and gals, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next one.